everyone, my name is Heba and welcome back. Thank you so much for clicking on another Natasha Deanna Golden Palette video. I know that there are dozens, if not hundreds of videos out there, so again, I do appreciate y'all clicking on this video. So let's go ahead and talk about the new Natasha Deanna Golden Palette. And I just want to mention the packaging before I put my fingerprints all over it. Look at that. I just love how liquid it looks. You just want to bathe in this liquid gold. And actually I wouldn't mind having liquid gold or even solid gold right now. But look at that packaging, especially when you move it, it just looks so liquidy and fluid. I want to say about 5 years ago, Natasha Deanna came out with her gold palette, and I do have it right here, and here's what this packaging looks like. It has that gold concept, but it's more of the, it's not plastic, but hard cardboard. But let me show you the size difference there without the glare. But yeah, I really do like this packaging a lot better. But this is what the original gold palette looks like. It had this plastic insert that gave us the names of the shades. And when you move that, you can bend it back to hold it a little bit better. And this is what the original gold palette looks like. It has your pop of teals in there and blues. Now I have to be careful with this shade because it will pop out. So I'm going to have to hold it this way. So what Natasha did is she grabbed 9 shades from this palette and put it in this new palette plus 2 other shades from previous palettes. I want to say one of them was from the Star palette, which I do have, and the other one came from a mini palette, which I don't have, and I don't remember which one that was from. This has been very popular. I mean, look at the shades, so pretty, and these are my kind of shades. I love your golds and browns and neutral warm tones, but actually I also like the teal shades in here too. So instead of releasing the same palette, which, you know, wouldn't have been bad, she made an elevated version of this palette into here for the golden palette. So let's take a look at the shades in the golden palette. You can see there's no pops of blue. It's all golds and browns. It's very monotone, I should say. I have to say when I opened it, it is very pretty, a lot better than what the pictures have shown. This one does cost $69 and the original one, I believe it was $129. So it's nice that she made it in the midi palette so a lot more people could afford it. It's still expensive, I know, but there are always going to be sales out there. So again, there are 9 shades that came from the gold palette plus 2 shades that came from other palettes. So that means that there are only 4 new shades in this eyeshadow palette. Let me show you the Star palette where it just has 1 shade from it. So here's what the Star palette looks like. And one side, I guess, is more neutral, warm, and the other side has more cool tone shades. And I believe the similar shade is this one, Flesh. So we're going to swatch them all together and compare the shades too. You know what? Before I swatch them, let me show you the palettes side by side. Sorry about the glare there. Let me try to move it. But as you can see, the pan size in the original one is a little bit bigger than this size. And I have to say that it can be deceiving because of the pan size and where she placed the shades. Probably upon first glance, you would think that it's similar, but it's technically the same. All right, let me go ahead and put these down and we'll start swatching. So I'll start with the first one and just go across. And just to give you some reference here, I think 1, 2, 3, 4. This one here, 1, 2, 3, and number 5. Those are the new shades in this palette. And then I believe Flesh came from the Star palette and this one came from another palette, one of the mini palettes. So let's start with the first one. I believe you pronounce it Miko, but this is an off-white matte to cream powder. That's very pretty, very creamy too. This will be a nice shade to put as a highlight, inner corner, or maybe kind of soften the edges of some of the darker shades. So that's nice. You put like an off-white in there. And now let's go to the metallic shade. And I have to say it's quite creamy. This is Nubia, which is a sparkling foiled gold nude champagne. Oh, that's very pretty. It's got like a peachiness to it, mixing with some white sparkles. That's very pretty. Next we have Panna, and that is a beige matte cream to powder. That's a pretty beige. I like that. Now we're going to our first repeat shade, which is Aria, which is a matte medium light dusty sand. And then I'm going to swatch Aria from the gold palette. Let me swatch you next to it. Okay. Yeah, I think the new one is a little bit deeper. I can see that the undertone is kind of saying, well, maybe it does look similar. No, I think the new one's a little bit more deeper. I mean, it could be because this one's 5 years old. Let me just smooth that top out. I don't know. I think the new one just looks a little bit deeper. Now let's go to the new shade Fizzy. I like that name, Fizzy. And this is a golden nude in the sparkling wet effect formula. Okay, I think it's more like a shadow topper. It doesn't have as much meat as this one, which was Nubia. Now let's go to Vars, which is a metallic medium antique brass. Yeah, that's my favorite shade. Even from the gold palette, this is my favorite shade. Now let's swatch it from the gold palette. Yeah, very similar. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. Now this next shade, this one came from a mini palette. I'm gonna have to look and see which one it came from. But this one is Aura, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And it's a metallic golden ivory. That's pretty for like inner corner. Next repeat shade is Teak, and let's put you here, which is a matte medium dusty caramel. And let's go to the gold palette and swatch you here. Okay, yeah, they look very similar. Now I'm going to go to the other arm here, and let's go to the next repeat shade, Kava, which is a sparkling champagne gold. And then here's Kava from the gold palette. I guess they look similar. I'm just looking in the mirror here, and yeah, I guess they look similar. What do you think? Next is Sandstone, which is a matte medium ochre, and this one's from the gold palette. Yeah, similar. Even feels the same too. Next is Arum. Arum, I believe that's how you pronounce it. But this one's a metallic muted gold. Oh, that's pretty. Forgot about that shade. Yeah, and the reason why I forgot about it, because it's the broken one in this palette. So let's see how you swatch all broken up. This is from the old palette. Oh yeah, I think I prefer the new one. You can see it does have a little bit more shine to it. Maybe a little bit more yellow too. Yeah, I prefer the new one. That's very pretty. Let me make sure I swatched the right one. I sure did. Okay, I'm just looking on her website, and she does have the number. She does like a number letter system to let us know what type of texture the shade is. But on her website, it does have Arium 208M. But on this little plastic insert for Arium, it has 208 CP, which I think is the crystal, I can't remember, crystal something. Maybe that's why it looks a little bit different. Or this one just has a little bit more shine to it. Metallicness to it. I don't know. Probably something I should pay attention to with the number. The shades that I'm kind of checking now, Arium is the only one that has the different letters to it. Has CP in the old one and M in the new one. So maybe that's why it looks a little different. Now let's go into the deepest shade in here, Log, which is a matte dark brown. It's nice to have a deep shade in here. And that one's 202 CM. And the insert in the old one has 202 CM. And here's that one swatched. Looks a little deeper, doesn't it? And the new one does look a little patchy. Yeah, these two don't look anything alike. Let me swatch the new one again right here. Yeah, it's a little bit lighter and kind of patchy. Next we have Oro, which is a metallic warm gold. And here is the old version. Okay, I think the older version has a little bit more yellow to it. A little bit more shine. What do you think? Or does it look similar? It's just my bad eyesight. Yeah, they do look alike, but the old one just has a little bit more meat to it. Now let's swatch Flesh, and this came from the Star palette. And let's put you here. No, didn't swatch that one good. I think my finger was still wet from wiping it off. Let me swatch you again. And that's a matte light warm nude. And then let me get the Star palette, and it's this one right here. And swatch you there. I don't know. They don't look the same, do they? Maybe because this one's old, it just has a little bit more brightness to it than the new one. Now for the last one, Alchemist, and let's put you here. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Wow, that one's swatched all the way down. And that's a metallic brass. And on our website it has 206M, and on the palette it has 206M. And then this is from the old palette. Yeah, these two are the same. These two are the same. So here are the swatches of the golden palette with the similar shades from the gold palette. Now, I don't know if it's just me and my bad eyesight, probably bad lighting, but there are some shades in here that are, you know, the exact same. And then there are shades in here that are just kind of off a little bit. I mean, you can tell right off the bat, Log is off. I believe Aura is off. And then there are some that just doesn't have that body to it like in the older version. What do you think, guys? You guys let me know what you see. You know, this kind of threw a wrench in how I was going to do this palette. I was going to use shades that are completely new. So the look that I'm thinking about doing is maybe using the new shades and maybe some of the older shades that it just looks a little off, like log and maybe flesh. I don't know. We'll see where it just kind of takes us. So I'm going to start out with flesh, and I'm using the Detail Pro by Sonia G. And I'm going to use the new palette on this side and the old palette, which is from, or the old shade from the Star palette, flesh, on this side, because those two look a little different. And I hope the camera's picking it up. This one, from the Star palette, just has a little bit more peachiness to it. So this one's from the new palette, golden palette. I'm building it up again because this is flesh, looks like my flesh. And pay no attention, I do need to get my brows waxed. I hope you can see that. It's very smoothing on my lids. I'm just going to wipe the brush on a little towel here. Now let me use flesh from the Star palette. Yeah, this one does have a little bit more color to my lids. I hope the camera picks it up. Now I'm going to go into Aria, place you underneath flesh. And then on this side, let me go in with the old palette, the gold palette, and just kind of compare the two. Now I'm going to try this shade Log, and let's hope that this is not patchy when I apply it on. Bring that out too. Let me just try that. Now I'm going to use the other side of this one. It's by Sonia G, the worker brush, and going into the old palette, the gold palette, and place you on this side. Oh yeah, that off the bat, it's a lot more pigmented and it's not as patchy as this side, just from the first dip. Yeah, you can already see how pigmented this one is. I need to blend it out. Or this one, it's not as, I mean, you can see the difference there. Just swatch. Let me just clean this brush so I can blend it out. Yeah, and that was very easy to blend out compared to the new version. What do you think, guys? I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there. All right, now which metallic shade should I place? Now I love Kava. Kava is my favorite gold bronzy shade. But let's see. Let me use Aurum. I believe that's how you pronounce it, because this one has 208M, and from the old palette, this is my broken shade, which has 208CP. So I wanted to use those. I'm going to use my finger. So let me place you here. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad. Let me use another finger and go into the old palette and place you here. You know, I think I prefer the new version. Yeah, I think I prefer the new version. I mean, can y'all tell the difference? Yeah, to be honest, I like the new shade a lot better than the old shade. Now I'm just going to go into a small flat shader brush, Builder Pro, and go into that same shade and just kind of build that up into my crease. And kind of fuse those two shades together. And then going in the other side and do that over here. Now I'm going to use this shade Fizzy. This is the new shade, and I'm using the reference number 28. I hope this will be a good brush with that. Yeah, I did pick some up. And place you in the inner corner. Okay, it's not as light as I thought it would be for an inner corner. It just kind of blends in with Aurum. Let me clean that brush and let's go into Aura. Let's go into this light shade. What is it? A metallic golden ivory. Maybe that might be better for the inner corner. Let me go in with the flat definer by Sonia G, and let me try that shade again. I think it's gotten hard pan already. Can y'all see that? All right, let's see. Well, I guess some of it did come on the brush. Yeah. Let me clean my finger and see. Yeah, I think it's good. So let me just try using my finger. My fat finger here in the inner corner. Okay, going back in with the first brush with no product on it and just kind of blend everything out. And you know what? Let me go into this shade, the first shade, which is Miko. This one right here, the matte shade. Let me just lightly tap that and just kind of highlight underneath my brows. I do see some fallout with those metallic shades, but I'm just gonna wipe it off, put some makeup on, and then I'll come back and do underneath my eyes. So underneath my eyes, let's go into Flesh, and we're gonna use the new one on this side. And then use Flesh from the Star palette on this side. Can't remember what shade I used next. I think I used Aria next. I can't remember what shade I used after that. Well, let's just go into this Aria and then clean that brush and go into the old palette Aria. And then let's go into Log and just place that in the outer V. And then you know the drill, clean this brush and go into Log in the gold palette and put you on this side. Yeah, right off the bat, I think Log is a little bit better in the older version. And let's go into the shade Aura. And then let's go into the shade Miko. Let's see if that will brighten up the inner corner there. And let's just do a little bit more underneath the brows. All right, now let me finish and we'll see how this look looks. Here is the finished look, and what do you think, guys? I mean, it is a beautiful gold look, and I can tell the difference between the two metallic shades. Let's see, is Aurum? I think that's how you say it, but from the new palette, the golden palette, it looks a little bit brighter, has more yellow to it. Whereas the gold palette's a little bit more subdued. I mean, it has the shine there, but it's just not as bright and gold here. Maybe it's just because it's an older palette, but it has a different letter system, 208M compared to 208CP. And I'm gonna have to go back and see if every one of these has the same correlating letters, and then I'll let you know if they're all pretty much the corresponding letters except for that one shade Aurum. And then the shade Log, once you blend it out, they look very similar. Granted, this one was a little patchy and you had to build it up a little bit more, whereas this one, it was very pigmented and you had to blend it out just to kind of soften the look. But once they blend it out, I think the shades, they look similar. Log just looks similar. Now I will say this shade Aura, it kind of looks like it's hard pan, but it's still swatching pretty good. And then I noticed from the old palette, this shade Spark, it looks similar. Let me just swatch those two together. I did kind of take the swatches off my arm. So this is from the old palette, and this is from the new palette. This from the old palette looks a little bit more glittery and golden, whereas the new palette's a little bit smoother and more ivory, like it says. But I am worried that it did get hard panned, but we'll keep trying and see. But all in all, love these shades. I mean, I already have most of them in this palette. So if you have this palette, don't need this one. But if you don't have the original gold palette and you like these shades, it's a beautiful palette. I will say this, that maybe some of the looks can be similar because you do have different shades of golds and browns, and once you blend it out, you know, it can be similar. It's kind of like the I Need a Nude palette to me. Most of the shades just look similar, and when I make looks, it will look similar. And honestly, I'd prefer the shades from the golden palette than from the I Need a Nude palette. And of course, I forgot to mention that there are other products in this collection. There is a highlighter trio, which I didn't pick that one up because, I mean, I think you can probably use some of the shades in here, and I've got a lot of highlighters that probably is the same. And a gold shimmer lip plumper. I didn't pick that one up either because I just don't like gold on my lips. I have tried it and it's just not one of my favorites. So instead of using a gold, I went with a red lip, and I think red and gold kind of go together. This is the one by Charlotte Tilbury, So Red. It's such a pretty red shade, and I think red with the gold, very pretty together. So the only thing I picked up from this collection is the golden palette, and I do like it. I do like it, and I do like the packaging. It's already dirty now, but I just like the look of it and the feel of it, and very unique. I like it, like it. Well, all right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video of me trying the new golden palette and also using the gold palette just to kind of see the difference. I thought I was going to do mostly all new shades, but when I swatched it and saw some of the shades were, you know, kind of different. I mean, most of them were the same, but just a few were kind of different. I just wanted to try one on each eye and just kind of see for myself. And hopefully that was helpful for you guys. Well, all right. So if you liked and enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you can see more videos like this. And you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I'll see you next time. Bye.